Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations and I'm Nova and this is Labubu. I hope you guys are doing well today and I hope you're all taking care of the best that you can. Today I have a tutorial for you. So if you would like to make your little Labubu, your very own little Labubu, you're going to want to pick out some yarns that give you kind of a fur sort of look. These Just Yarn teddies that they have at the Dollar Tree work really well. Eyelash yarn would work really well. Any sort of like a fuzzy textured yarn that's going to give you that sort of fur look or, you know, kind of teddy bear-esque look. And then double strand it with a normal, like just whatever kind of yarn you have that sort of matches the color. So I'm using a just a value acrylic yarn. This is Big Twist. And I'm using this Just Yarn Teddy and I'm going to double strand them. The reason I recommend double stranding them together is this type of yarn is a lot easier to work with when you double strand it with a normal yarn. It'll also thicken it up because this isn't a super thick strand on its own. And then you're just going to want, in some sort of like a value acrylic or something, a skin tone yarn for the skin tone kind of colored features. You are also going to want whatever you're going to do the face with. So you can do embroidery for the face. Lincoln! You can do embroidery for the face, or you can do felt, or you can do safety eyes. I did a safety nose, I did a little bit of embroidery, and I did felt. So that is what I will show you guys as part of this tutorial. And then if you would like to fuzzy it up even further, you can get a pet brush and brush your yarn after you create your plushie to give it even a little bit more of a fuzz. Other than that, you're just going to need a stitch marker if you would like to use one, some scissors, and some polyfill. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. We're going to start by making the arms because then we can work them into the body as we go, which will help to keep the sewing down a little bit because this is going to have some sewing, this project. So to start our arms, we're going to start by making a magic circle. If you need a little extra help with a magic circle, I do have a tutorial for a magic circle that I will link in the description box below. But basically you take these two fingers, you lay your yarn over them with your tail hanging towards yourself, pinch it with your thumb, and then wrap around until you form like an X. You want to cross over the yarn that you already have. Then you can just secure that yarn in place using one of your other fingers. You're going to go under the first yarn. This is actually 2 strands since we're double stranding it. And then you're going to grab those other 2, pull it forward, and turn your hook. And then you're just going to make a chain. And that's how you make a magic circle. But like I said, if you need a little extra help, a little more slowed down, a little more detailed, I do have a tutorial for that and I will link it below. We're going to start by making 5 single crochets into our magic circle. So remember, when you work in a magic circle, you work over both these tails and the side of your circle. So just kind of hold that all together and you're going to make 5 single crochets. And right from the get-go, I'm going to go ahead and throw my stitch marker into this first stitch, just because when you're working with fuzzy yarns, it really helps to know where the first stitch of your round is, just to kind of keep you on track. All right, 3, 4, and 5. So as you're working, just make sure you are grabbing both yarns when you're going. You saw how I almost didn't grab one for a second. Just, you know, well, as you keep going, you'll get used to working with 2 yarns if you're not used to it, but I actually really enjoy working with 2 yarns to get like this sort of effect. I do recommend it, but you don't have to. If you would like to only work with the fuzzy yarn, more power to you. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and pull our magic circle. Don't pull it super duper tightly because we do need to get into this first stitch, and if you pull it super tightly, the first stitch kind of goes away almost. It gets so small. It gets so tightly pulled. So go ahead and put your hook into that first stitch, and we are just going to work an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. All right, and then you can throw that stitch marker back in, make sure you throw it into the first stitch you made. So if you went ahead and put both single crochets in already like I did, make sure you put your stitch marker into that first stitch. So you should have 5 increases, which means we are going to put 2 single crochets in every stitch around. And there's our 3rd increase, our 4th increase. Let me pull out some of my acrylic. 5th increase and 6th increase. And that should bring you back to your stitch marker, because remember we put that in the first stitch of the round. Now you can go ahead and pull that magic circle tail nice and tight, and that's not going to go anywhere. Now we are going to remove our stitch marker and single crochet into the first stitch. Now you can replace your stitch marker, and we are just going to work single crochets for 4 rounds, which means we're going to work a single crochet into every stitch, and you should have 10 stitches because we did an increase in each stitch. So if you want to count your stitches, you absolutely can, especially if you're worried that you might miss a stitch. If you're having trouble seeing where your stitches are, you can feel for them. You should be able to kind of feel the top of your stitches. So we're just going to single crochet into each stitch all the way around, and we're going to do this for 4 rounds. So there's a few different ways you can do that. You can just stick your stitch marker in here and keep track of how many times you get back to your stitch marker. Like, there we go, that's 1 round. Now I can pop it out, crochet into my first stitch, throw it back in, and then I know when I get back around to it again, that'll be my 2nd round done. Or if you'd rather, since you know there are 10 stitches in the round and you're going around 4 times, you could actually just count to 40 as you're crocheting. When you've crocheted 40 times going around, that would also be 4 rounds. So it's up to you. If you feel like counting, then that's a way you can do it. If you'd rather just crochet to your stitch marker, which is my preferred method, then you can do that. So we are actually going to do this for 4 rounds, and then we are going to be, well, do I want to single crochet across the top? Yeah, we'll go ahead and single crochet across the top. So we're going to do this for 4 rounds, and then we're going to single crochet across the top to kind of sandwich them together. There's the end of my 2nd round. Beginning of my 3rd round. And then once I finish showing you how to make this, you're just going to go ahead and make a 2nd one. So you can rewind the video and follow along again, or if you just remember, since you just made this one, you can just make another one. But we're going to want 2 of these because these are going to be our little Labubu arms. And we are going to work them into the body as we do the rest of our project. All right, so here is round 3, and you're not going to need to stuff these. They're not very big pieces. You could throw a little bit of stuffing in them if you want to. You don't have to though, so it's up to you. Depends on how you want them to sit. If you want them to be like really sticking straight out, maybe throw a little bit of stuffing into them. If you want them a little bit more posable, you know, you can kind of flop them up and down, flip them up and down. Then you won't need to stuff these because they are small spots, small pieces. So this is my 4th round, and you can go ahead and just tuck that tail left over from your magic circle into here. And then finish out your 4th round. And remember, each of these stitches has or each of these rounds has 10 stitches in it. And this is my 4th round of single crochets, but actually my 6th round for like the whole piece. All right. Now you're going to want to decide if you are happy with that or if you want to add a little stuffing to it. Like I said, they pretty much like, there's really not much room to stuff them, but you're totally welcome to. And then we're just going to single crochet across the top of this. So go in through a stitch on this side and out through the stitch directly across on the other side. And you're just going to single crochet through both. And you're going to do that all the way across. So sandwich your 2 layers together and go through this side and out the other side. Now it might be, there we go. You might have to feel for the stitches if you can't see them. It's a little difficult with the 2 pieces of yarn not to get caught on anything. So just take your time with it. Give yourself a little bit of patience. And there we go. So that was a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets across. Then you can just do a chain. And you don't really need to leave a tail, so I'm just going to leave a couple inches. That'll just get tucked into the body. And there you go. You've got your first arm done already. Go ahead and make a second one and then meet me back and we will start working on the rest of it. Once you've got your 2 arms worked up, you can go ahead and set these aside. We will be working them into the body, and then we will also be adding the like fingers and toes to the arms and legs once we're all done with everything. So we're going to go ahead and take our yarn. We're going to start working our legs. So this is going to be another piece we make 2 of, and we're actually going to connect the 2 legs together and work from there up into the body in a continuous piece. If you guys see any smoke coming into the screen, that's my incense. I kind of forgot that I had that burning, so it should be burning out soon. Anyways, go ahead and make a magic circle. And this time we're going to be doing 6 single crochets. So don't forget, you can pop your stitch marker into that first stitch if you would like to. For the second arm, I actually didn't use my stitch marker, I just counted. But it just depends. You can just do it either way. 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6 single crochets worked into our magic circle. We can go ahead and pull this shut. Don't pull it super tightly yet because you're going to be working into this first stitch where we're going to be doing increases. So you are going to increase in every stitch around. So go ahead and throw an increase into this first stitch. And remember, an increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a marker in the first one. And increase in every stitch around. So we have 6 single crochets right now, and as we increase into each stitch, we will have 12 stitches by the end of the round. And if you want to make sure you didn't miss any stitches, you can always get back to your stitch marker and then go back and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And don't forget that stitch that your stitch marker is in counts as a stitch as well. And then you can go ahead and pull tighter on your magic circle tail. We are going to single crochet in each stitch around for 2 rounds. So like I said, you can either stick your stitch marker in there and you'll know when you get back around, or since you know you have 12 stitches and you're going around twice, you could just count to 24 as you crochet into each stitch. So like that's my 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, I feel like I'm caught on a little bit, oh well, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then that puts me back at my stitch marker. So I can pop that out, and that'll be the next round. Remember, we're only doing 2 rounds, so just little nubby legs. Go ahead and work the stitches in this round. May add another round, looking a little more nubby than maybe we want. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and work one more round. So we're going to do a total of 3 rounds. Looking a little more nubby than I want. Go ahead and pop the stitch marker back into the first round. Whoop. Not pop my hook out of my stitch. And single crochet around. So if you are just counting, then you're going to be wanting 36 stitches instead of 24. So just keep going until you've done 36 stitches. If you're using your stitch marker and you're just going, you know, round by round, you'll just want a 3rd round of single crochets. And you'll still have 12 at the end, 12 stitches around in your rounds, because we're not increasing or anything. All right, there we go. That looks better. So now that you've finished your first leg, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and pop this stitch marker out. We're done with this leg, so I'm going to chain 1. I just like to chain 1 to finish off a piece. You're going to cut this, and once again, you don't need very much because you're not sewing with this. You're just going to be hiding it in the body. So this is what the little leg looks like. We're going to go ahead and make a second leg, and we're going to make it the same way, but we're not going to cut off. So I'm just making a magic circle. We're not going to tie off from our skein after we make this one. So I'm going to make this one with you real quick too. And then we'll continue on with the body and connect everything together. So go ahead and make your 6 single crochets into your magic circle for your second leg. 5 and 6. Go ahead and pull on that magic circle a little bit. And then work into that first stitch. And we're going to increase. Pop my stitch marker into that first stitch. And then you can go ahead and finish cinching up if you want to. I just wait to finish cinching up until after I've started my second round, because it's just easier to get into that the first stitch. Now I'm just increasing in every stitch. So here's the 3rd one, 4th one, 5th one, and 6th. And I'm just going a little quicker on this one because I just showed you how to do this. And you can always, if you need help with the second leg, you can always rewind and go a little slower. By the way, guys, if you ever need to adjust the speed of a tutorial, you can actually do that in the settings. There's like a little gear icon somewhere around the screen of your video. If you click on that, you can adjust the playback speed. I'm just starting my single crochets now. And remember, we're doing 3 rows of single crochet, not 2. But yeah, you can click on that little gear icon and adjust the playback speed. So you can actually speed it up or slow it down. You know, you could always speed it up, slow it down, or whatever, depending on the part of the pattern that you're on too. If there's a part you find confusing, you want to see it in slow-mo, you can always put it in half speed, put it in like 0.5 and watch it. Or if you're at a part where they're just like going so slow compared to you, you can always speed it up. Maybe put it in 1.5 speed, then just put it back to normal when you get back to the part that you know, want it in normal speed. But that's a little tip for you in case you didn't know about that. Just single crocheting around. This is my second round, and then I will show you guys how to connect your little Labubu legs together, because we are going to make this as little sewing as possible. Like, there is going to be a little bit of sewing, but we're gonna do a little, as little as possible, because ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, and then one more round of single crochet. Everything's pink. I've got my pink stitch marker, my little pink donut stitch marker. Oh, too bad my crochet hook isn't pink. That would have been fun. Alright, so we're coming up on the end here. And same as with the arms, you can tuck your tails from your magic circle down into your feet, like so. And we will stuff the body once we start connecting everything together and get to a point where it's stuffable. Right now, these two little legs, the stuffing would just pop right back out as you were crocheting. All right, so here's the final stitch of the round. Okay, we're gonna chain 2, 1, 2. We're gonna take our first leg that we made and we're gonna connect them together. Oop, 1 second. Get down, Link. My cat is trying to join us for the tutorial. We'll start here in this stitch right after our leg end. It really doesn't matter where you start. You can kind of start anywhere, but we'll start here. You know what? I'm going to start in the last stitch, actually, just because makes it a little easier to keep this tail out of the way. So I'm going to go into the last stitch of my other leg. Okay. We're going to pull through. Debating. You know what? We will pull through and slip stitch. So just pull through both pieces. Pull through the chain on your hook and through that stitch. So let me show you again. Okay, you've got your chain 2 on your hook. You're going to go through that last stitch of the first leg that you made, yarn over and pull through that stitch and pull through the chain. So you are just slip stitching through both pieces. I don't know why this is getting caught on here this time. I just did it 2 seconds ago. There we go. And then this tail that is attached to your first leg, you can just tuck into your foot to get it out of your way. Okay. Then we are going to single crochet in every stitch around on this first leg we made. So 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and grab my crochet or my stitch marker and I'm going to put it into that first stitch that we made, that first single crochet. All right, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we get back to this stitch that we slip stitched through to put our chains together. We're gonna single crochet into that stitch too. So we have 12. You should have 12 stitches around on this leg. So just single crochet in every stitch, including the stitch that we slip stitched over to with our chains here. All right, then you're gonna do 2 single crochets across this chain. So work right into the chain that you made. Easier said than done when you're working with fuzzy yarn. 1, and 2. All right, and then you should be back to this other leg that we did second, and you should be working into this stitch right. You see how there's a little bit of a drop off? That was where we started our chaining. You're going to be working into that stitch right after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then you are to the little chain space, and you're going to want to work 2 single crochets into this side of the chain space. So 1, and just kind of do your best here, you know, it doesn't have to be coming in and out like perfectly of the chains. It's kind of hard to see when you're working with fuzzy yarn, so just put it in where it feels like, you know, you can get it in there. All right, so you should have 12 around each leg and then 2 in the chain spaces on either side of here, which will give you a total of 28 stitches all the way around. So if you want to stop and count them, you can, but just letting you know, 28 stitches all the way around here, and this is round 5 if you want to consider, or no, this is round 6 if you want to consider the leg, because we did 5 rounds on the leg and then this round continuing. All right, so now that we have got our little body started, everything gets easier now that we've connected our legs together. So go ahead and pop your stitch marker out and single crochet into that first stitch. Then you can put your stitch marker back. And we are going to be working 2 single crochets. And then we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase. Remember, an increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So we're going to do that all the way around. We're going to do single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. And you should be working a single crochet and then an increase all the way around 12 times. So 12 repetitions of single crochet increase. That will leave you with 2 stitches left, and we will just be single crocheting into those 2 stitches. All right, so single crochet increase all the way around. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. I would fast forward through this part or like clip skip, but I don't really feel like it takes so long to get around that I need to do that. So just single crocheting and increasing all the way around until we get back to those final 2 stitches where we will do 2 single crochets. And that is going to give us a total of 40 stitches around. So when you get back to your stitch marker this round, you should have 40 stitches. And these 2 stitches that you just single crochet into here at the end are going to be the ones in this little gap in the chain space. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. And then do our little chain or our single crochets into the chain space. And we've got 40. And that is round 7. So you should have 40 stitches at the end of round 7. All right, now we're moving on to round 8. We're going to throw a single crochet into that first stitch and then replace our stitch marker. And single crochet, single crochet. So that's a total of 3 single crochets. All right, and 4, 5, 6, oops, 7, and 8. That'll put you like on the hip area here. We're going to do an increase. So put 2 single crochets into that 9th stitch. And then we are just going to single crochet across the back here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and work an increase. So put 2 single crochets into that stitch after you've done 19 single crochets. And then we are just going to single crochet the rest of the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is what you should be looking like. Your little legs and hips here. You should have 42 stitches all the way around, since we did some, we did 2 increases. All right, so we are now going to just do some single crochets. Excuse me. We're just going to single crochet around for 6 rounds. So go ahead and pop that stitch marker out and single crochet, and then single crochet in every stitch. Remember, we have 42 stitches. You're going to single crochet in every stitch around for 6 rounds. So it's going to be 6 times of working all the way around back to your stitch marker. It's going to start working our body up nicely. So go ahead and work 6 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back. All right, guys, once you've got those 6 rounds put into the body, we are actually going to start decreasing. We're going to start decreasing, and we are also going to be putting our arms in soon. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and put the arms into this round. So we are going to start decreasing this round, and we are also going to work our arms into this round. So I went ahead and took my stitch marker out, and I'm going to put a single crochet into that first round. And don't forget, we have 42 stitches around right now. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet. Let's do, we're going to want to put the arms centered on the sides. So this will slightly vary depending on how you crochet. If you may be a little different, like it might be like a stitch or two, you know, to the side on either direction, but I'll tell you how many single crochets I do and everything. And then you can just kind of look at it, kind of pull it out like this and center it as much as you can with your leg. Doesn't have to be perfect though. So we have the arm is 4 stitches across, remember how we seamed it? So we're gonna have 4 stitches that we want to kind of center. So I'm thinking like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm thinking I'll start it right there. What have I got right now? 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, I'm gonna do 5 stitches, and then I'm gonna do a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. Like I said, if you need to move your arm 1 stitch over or something, you can just, you know, if you need to move it, then you'll have 1 more stitch on the other side of your arm or something. That's totally fine. Maybe I should explain what I'm doing here. Sorry guys, thinking and showing you at the same time. Okay, so you've got your 4 stitches on your arm here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put our hook, we have it, you know, attached to the body. That's our working yarn that's on there. We're gonna go through the first stitch on the arm, and then we're gonna go through the next stitch on the body. So we have these 2 pieces sandwiched together. We're gonna yarn over our hook, and we're gonna pull through the stitch on the body and the stitch on the arm, and we're gonna work a single crochet. And we're gonna do that for 4 stitches. So you should be working through the stitch on the body and the stitch on the arm and doing a single crochet. So just line them up, single crochet through, and we're gonna stick those tails from the arm into the body. All right. So that's 4 stitches. Then we're going to go ahead and do another single crochet here right after that. So that's 5 stitches in total. So we've got our 4 that run across the top of the arm and then 1 after. And then we're going to do a decrease. Then we're going to work 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to do a decrease. Oh, and you can do your decrease however you want to. I prefer to do an invisible decrease. I guess I should have showed this to you a second ago. Sorry guys, I'm a little scatterbrained on this tutorial. But I like to grab the front loop of the first stitch and the front loop of the second stitch. So you have 3 loops on your hook in total. Yarn over and then pull through those first 2 and then just finish it like it was a single crochet. That's how I prefer to do my decreases on my amigurumi because it makes less of a knot than a standard decrease does. So you can do it however you want to. Then we're going to work 5 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're getting close over on this side to where we're going to want to put our arm. So let me look at this again. Going to kind of want to center it. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we can go ahead and work 1 more single crochet. So we've got 6 single crochets in a row. Then we're going to do a decrease. And we're going to work our other arm through. Just trying to decide which way I want to face it. Do, 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 do. I think I'll do it like this. All right, so we're going to work through the top of our first stitch on the arm and through the body, sandwiching them together. And then we are just going to work through both layers, the body and the arm, for 4 stitches. So that is 4 single crochets worked together to just work that arm right into the body. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put a decrease right after the arm. So those next 2 stitches we're going to decrease over. And then we're going to go and we're going to work 5 single crochets. 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to work a decrease. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet. All right, and that should give us our little body with our arms. And like I said, if you would like to move your arms in either direction, that's totally fine. You'll just have to kind of shift your stitches a little bit. So if there's a decrease right where you're going to put your arm, just move your decrease till it's after. I'm going to go ahead and tell you how many stitches we have. So let's count them together for this round. I'm just going to pull my hook up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. So you should have 38 stitches all the way around. All right. Now we're going to put our hook back in here. And we are going to start increasing. You can also start stuffing your body if you would like to. There's plenty of space to stuff it, and we're going to increase again. So, do I want to, I actually think I want to decrease first. Okay, here's what we are going to do. We are going to have a straight up decrease round. So this is the first stitch of the round. We're going to decrease in every single stitch all the way around. And that is going to give us 19 stitches in this round when we're all finished. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker back in here. And I am just going to invisible decrease all the way around. Now remember I said for an invisible decrease, I like to grab the front loop only of the first stitch and the second stitch, and then yarn over and pull through both of them, and then just finish it like I was doing a single crochet. So first stitch, second stitch, just the first loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. And that is what I'm going to be doing all the way around in all 38 stitches, which will half our stitch count and give us 19. So just go ahead and decrease in every stitch around. And like I said, if you'd like to start stuffing, you can go ahead and do that. You'll be able to stuff your legs and your torso. The arms are worked in, so you cannot stuff them obviously at this point because they're shut. But we are just cinching in here. This is going to be the like shoulder area, the neck area right before our head. I thought giving a nice definition to the neck area would be a good idea. And the nice thing about working a plushie like this, where you don't have to sew the head on, is one, you don't have to sew the head on, and two, you don't have to worry about the head being wobbly and not like, you know, when you work it in two pieces, sometimes the neck, the neck area can't support the head and the head kind of just lops to the side. Well, you don't have to worry about that. Working it as a continuous piece really helps with making it sturdy. Okay. Just working a decrease into every stitch around. And you should have 19 stitches when you get around. And if these invisible decreases are too hard for you to work, especially with the fuzzy yarn, having 2 layers, you know, it can definitely be a little bit more complicated. Feel free to work a normal decrease. It's really not that big of a difference. A normal decrease just creates a little bit of a visible knot on amigurumi. So the invisible decrease is a little more polished looking. But like obviously you got to do what you can do. So don't let it stop you from making the project if you're struggling with that invisible decrease. Just roll with it and do your regular decreases that you would do for, you know, a non-amigurumi project. If you've never worked a decrease before for like a regular decrease, I've got 2 stitches left. I'll show you across these last 2 stitches. You just go through the whole stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then go through the second stitch, yarn over and pull through, Then you yarn over and you pull through all 3. And you notice it creates a little bit more of a knot compared to those. And that's the reason that I like doing the invisible decrease. All right, so now that you have finished that, you should have this little chubby body forming. How freaking cute. I'm going to take a moment to stuff mine. So I'm going to pull up on my hook, if my yarn will let me. Got a little bit of yarn caught. Whatever, that should be fine. And I'm going to grab my polyfill. Just going to grab a big old handful. We'll see how far that gets me. I'm also using, this is some like brushed yarn scrap that's in here. Sometimes I will use that as stuffing. It's from a different project. It was from brushing hair out to make a little troll doll. I'm just going to stuff that down into the leg. The reason I like rip up my stuffing and then put it in is it helps to avoid it being super lumpy. So if you kind of fluff it up and tear it up and put it in a little bit at a time, it can help you fill the shape that you're wanting and avoid lumps in your work. Just stuff that in there. I honestly like to wait till the last minute to stuff most of the time because I hate it when the polyfill gets like stuck in my crochet hook while I'm working. But I also don't want to wait too long because I want to make sure I can stuff it really well. So it's kind of one of those, you wait as long as you can, but you don't want to wait too long situations. Because it gets harder, you know, the further away you get from the area that you're trying to stuff. I think we want a little bit more polyfill. So once you get that stuffed, it'll look a little something like this. And let me get my crochet hook back in here. Now we're going to do a bunch of increases. All right, so into the next stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. And then place that stitch marker into your first stitch if you would like to, if you're using one. And then we're going to do an increase. We're going to do an increase in every stitch all the way around except just somewhere along the front. We're going to do a couple of regular stitches without an increase. So we're going to increase in every stitch around except 2 stitches in the front. So 2 stitches in every stitch except 2 stitches in the front. All right. So we've worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've worked 5 increases. 6 increases. 7 increases. 8 increases. If I could stop grabbing like pieces of yarn that are not where I'm at. All right, and then we're going to do 2 single just like stitches with 1 single crochet. So do a single crochet in this one, then go to the next stitch and do a single crochet, and then return to doing increases all the way around. So 2 stitches in every stitch all the way around. And that is going to give us 36 stitches at the end of this round. Can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to crochet in here now that it's stuffed. So I like to kind of just stand them up and crochet from the top. And I'm just putting an increase in every stitch. All right, and now that we have done our increases all the way around, except for those 2 stitches in the front that we did not increase in, you should have 36 stitches all the way around. Now we are going to place our first single crochet and replace our stitch marker. And we are going to do 5 single crochets and an increase. And that is going to be the repeat for the round. So we're going to do 5 single crochets. So 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to increase in the stitch. So 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then we're going to work 5 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then an increase. So that's going to be the repeat for the round. You're going to do 5 single crochets and an increase until you get back to your stitch marker, and that should give you 42 stitches all the way around. All right, and as you get back around, you're just going to pop that stitch marker out and start working single crochets. So I went ahead and worked a couple singles, and I'm going to throw my stitch marker back in, and then you're just going to work single crochets all the way around in every stitch, no increases or anything, for 3 rounds. So go ahead and work a single crochet in every stitch all the way around for 3 rounds, and then meet me back. All right, and after you've done your 3 rounds of single crochet, it should be looking like this. Got a nice little round head going. And now we are going to do a little bit of decreasing. So we are going to do 5 single crochets and then a decrease, and that is going to be the repeat for the round. So you're going to do 5 single crochets and then decrease, 5 single crochets, then decrease, 5 single crochets, decrease, and you're going to do that 6 times. That's going to be like how many repeats you have. When you get to the end, you should be ending on a decrease. So you'll know you're on the right path if you're ending on a decrease, and you should have 36 stitches all the way around. So go ahead and do your repeat of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets, and then your invisible decrease or your regular decrease if you prefer. And don't forget, if you're doing an invisible decrease, you just grab the front loop only of the first stitch and the second stitch, and then you pull through both, and then you basically just do how you would do a normal single crochet. All right, so do that all the way back around until you get to your stitch marker, and you will have 36 stitches all the way around. And then we're just going to do 3 more rounds after that of just single crochets. So just like we did for the last 3 rounds, just single crocheting in every stitch around, once you get back to that stitch marker after you do this round of 5 single crochets and a decrease, go ahead and do 3 rounds of just single crochets. All right, and then meet me back. And when you make your way back around after doing those 3 rounds of single crochet, you should have something a little looking like this. And we are going to do some more decreasing for the next round. So go ahead and take your stitch marker out and put a single crochet into that first stitch. And replace your stitch marker. And a little reminder, we should have 36 stitches around right now. So for the next round, we are going to do our second single crochet, because remember we already just did one, our third, and our fourth. And then we are going to do a decrease. And this is going to be the repeat for the round. So you are just going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease. 4 single crochets and then a decrease. And that will bring you, when you do that 6 times, that will bring you all the way back around, and you'll end on a decrease stitch. And that will put you at 30 stitches for the total for the round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease. Now keep in mind, as you work on this, you can stuff it as you go, whenever you're the most comfortable stuffing it. I prefer not to stuff things until kind of the last minute, just because I hate that feeling of grabbing the polyfill with my hook on accident. I just don't like to have to kind of work around it. So I sort of wait till the last minute, but I know some people prefer to stuff earlier, so they have, you know, a little better access. I will probably decrease up a bit more before I start stuffing mine, stuffing the head of mine, but you are totally welcome to start stuffing that whenever you want to. So we are starting to kind of cinch up a little bit. You may want to go ahead and start stuffing the head. It's totally up to you. Okay, and that should be 4. And a decrease. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and finishing the round on a decrease. Okay, and then it should be looking like this. And you should have 30 stitches. Now we are just going to take our stitch marker out, and we're going to do 3 single crochets this time, and then a decrease, and that's going to be the repeat for the round. So you're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease. If I can get my hook under there. There we go. So 3 single crochets and then a decrease in every stitch. Well, not every stitch, but you get what I'm saying. Every repeat of it. do your three single crochets and then a decrease. And that will put you at 24 stitches all the way around when you get back to your stitch marker. And when you get back around, you should have 24 stitches. And it will be looking like this. Now we are going to do a round of single crocheting 2 and decreasing. So go ahead and pop out your stitch marker, get that single crochet in there and replace it. And then you're just going to be doing a real quick repeat this time. 2 single crochets and a decrease. 2 single crochets and a decrease. And at the end of this round, you will have 18 stitches. So that'll probably be a good time to stuff the head, in my opinion, if you haven't already stuffed your head. And then as we do the last like 2 rounds, to close up our head, you will just add stuffing to the very top as you go. So go ahead and do 2 single crochets and then a decrease and repeat that all the way around. You'll end on a decrease. You won't have a very big hole left, but enough room to work into to stuff it. We're almost finished with the head. So I'm just gonna take my time and stuff this really nicely. And that's why I make sure I keep my stitches nice and tight. You'll be surprised how much polyfill you can fit into something when you're stuffing it tightly. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that for my stuffing for now. Like I said, as I finish up these last couple of rounds, I can just add a little bit more stuffing as I go. But it looks like this now. So our chubby little Labubu is coming together. Also, something to keep in mind, more so when you've finished and like have closed off the head, but you can also shape your plush just by squeezing it and like rolling it between your hands and stuff. You could even out your polyfill. You can kind of alter the shape of things. If you want your body to be a little bit longer, you can do it like this. Just kind of squeeze. And that'll elongate it. If you want it to be shorter, you can always like put it down on its feet and sort of just squish down on it. And that'll just help you to shape it. Especially with heads though, if you want to like roll it between your hands, that'll help you to shape out the polyfill. All right, so let's go ahead and attach back on. And we are going to be doing 1 single crochet and a decrease. And that's going to be our repeat for this round. It's going to be a little bit more of a pain in the butt to crochet with the polyfill in there. Maybe it just bothers me. I don't know if it bothers everybody else, but I'm like, that polyfill is in my way. I'm going to go ahead and do a single crochet and a decrease and then put my stitch marker back in, just because it's a little easier to put the stitch marker in when it's not the stitch you're currently working in, that you have your hook in. And there we go. And if you remember, we had 18 stitches. So we're working across 18 stitches right now. When we get to the end of this round though, we will have 12. So we are almost done closing up this Labubu body. So single crochet, decrease, and single crochet and decrease. And once we finish closing this up, you're going to be switching to your skin tone. For the skin tone, I am not going to double strand. I'm just going to be using worsted weight yarn. Like how right now I'm using a worsted weight yarn double stranded with this fuzzy yarn, which is also, I believe, a worsted weight yarn. and that's why I'm using the hook that I'm using. But when I switch over to doing the skin tone, I'm just going to be using the worsted weight yarn on its own. So I will be switching crochet hooks down to a 3.5. You can switch down to whatever you like, down to probably a 3 to 4 millimeter, somewhere in there would be what I would recommend for a worsted weight yarn, but you can always use whatever's comfortable for you. There's no hard and fast rules when it comes to crochet. So if that type of size of hook doesn't feel good for you, then you can just switch, use something a little bigger if you need to. And for the next round after that, we have 12 stitches all the way around right now. We are going to be decreasing on every stitch this round, and we will end the round with 6 single crochets. So there is my first decrease, and I'm putting that stitch marker back in there. Honestly, you probably don't really need to put your stitch marker back in there because you literally know you're decreasing 6 times. So you could just count to 6 while you do this. I'm probably going to do a few decreases and then stop and add more polyfill while I've still got a little bit room to work with. Like I said, guys, you'd be surprised how much polyfill ends up in this thing. It's kind of crazy. It's one of the things that surprised me the most about crocheting when I started it, was like, you can literally use a whole bag of polyfill on what you would never consider to be like a large plush. Like, okay, you know, maybe a decently large plush, but you'll throw a whole bag of polyfill into it. It's pretty crazy. I would say that this guy probably took close to a half a bag of polyfill. I might be slightly overestimating, but like, he took a lot of polyfill. I mean, you've seen those clumps I was picking up, and I picked up like giant handfuls just to fill in like little tiny areas. Like, oh, I'm just adding a tiny bit more. Puts in like 3 more handfuls. But yeah, make sure you've got your stuffing how you want it before you really get to the end. I did 2 decreases, and then I'm adding the polyfill that I need to add, and then I'll do those last few decreases. Because this way I can use my finger and just kind of push around the edges of the head, work my way around, and then look at that. That is looking awesome. All right, now I can reattach on and finish doing those decreases. So after we do our decreases, the next step is going to be to weave in the tail up here, which I will show you how to do. You can cinch up the hole really nicely up top, and then we will be done with the overall body. We just have the little face to work and the ears, and then attaching on to do some little fingers and toes. So there is the second to last decrease and the last one. All right, now you can remove your stitch marker and you can pull up on your hook. Now, unlike when I tie off on like the arms and stuff, when I tie off on those, I usually do a chain 1 because it creates a nice little knot. I'm not going to do that up here. I'm just going to literally, this is what we were doing to work our stitches. I'm literally just going to pull up on my hook. Like, this is the loop that you normally use for a stitch. And then I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave myself a nice tail, like a nice long tail, to do some sewing with, but you're literally just going to pull up on this until your yarn pops out, just like so. And the reason we're doing that is because we are going to cinch this hole shut, and you need to not have that little knot there that the chain 1 makes. So go ahead and grab your yarn needle. You can use any kind of yarn needle that you want to. I really like to use these bent tip yarn needles when I'm making amigurumi. They work so nicely for when you're doing amigurumi and you need to like go in and pop back out of like small areas. So I'm using a bent tip. If you are interested in these and you're wondering where to get them, I get mine from Amazon. And I do have in my description a like my crochet must-haves list. It's my Amazon storefront. So if you are looking for them, I do have them linked there. But of course, you could always just search on Amazon or probably other craft sites. But what I do is we have now these 6 stitches right here, right? Because we had 6 stitches left in our round. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go under the front loop only, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. Don't pull tight yet, but we're going to go around the whole circle going through each of the 6 loops. So that's 2, front loop only of the 3rd stitch, front loop only of the 4th stitch, the 5th stitch, and the front loop only of our 6th stitch. Now once you've done that, you can pull on this and it will cinch it shut. And there you go, completely cinched shut just by pulling on it. And then we can weave in our tail as much as we want to. So now that I've cinched that shut, apparently I can't say the word shut, I'm going to weave my tail in a little bit. And there's no like, you have to weave it in this way or anything. This is just to hide the tail into the body and also to secure it. Not that it's coming out after you just did all that cinching, but this is just for your peace of mind, really. And then once you're happy with it, you can either hide the tail in the body entirely, or you can go ahead and cut your yarn. So let me grab my small scissors. They got kind of behind stuff. So you can either cut this off or you can actually shove it down into your project. Sometimes I do this. Actually, most of the time I do this just because it adds to the stuffing a little bit and you're not wasting any yarn, you know? Like you're just basically utilizing your tails as stuffing immediately. So a lot of times I do that. Okay. So now that we have that done, we are going to be switching over to our skin tone yarn. So you can go ahead and set whatever color that you're using to the side and grab your skin tone. And whatever hook you're going to use, like I said, I'm going to use a 3.5 millimeter for my worsted weight yarn, but you can use whatever you're most comfortable with. So to make our face panel, I'm going to go ahead and start out by making a magic circle. If you need help with your magic circle, don't forget I do have a tutorial linked in the description box below that will walk you through making your magic circle. Now, Labubu has a slightly oval face rather than just a perfect circle face, from what I can tell. So I'm going to try something a little bit different to make it just a little bit oval in these first couple of rounds. So what we're actually going to do is into our magic circle, and don't forget you work over the tail here and the side of the circle when you're starting out. We're going to do 2 single crochets, and you can place your stitch marker in that first one if you feel like you need to. Then we're going to do a half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over your hook, go through and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. Basically the same thing as a single crochet, except for that you yarn over first before going through. Then we're going to work 2 more single crochets, and then we are going to work another half double crochet. And then you're going to go ahead and pull on your hook, or on your loop, oh my goodness, on your tail of yarn, but don't pull on it super tight just yet. We want to be able to get into this first stitch. Then you're going to do an increase into this first stitch. So you're going to do 2 single crochets into that same stitch. And then now you can go ahead and pull tightly on your tail and place that stitch marker into your first stitch. Now you're going to put 2 single crochets into the next stitch. All right, and after you've worked that second increase, we are going to do another increase in this third stitch, but we are going to do a half double crochet increase. So go ahead and yarn over and go through, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. We're going to do the same thing in the same stitch. Yarn over, go through and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's going to give us a half double crochet increase. Then you're just going to do a normal single crochet increase in the next stitch and a normal single crochet increase in the 5th stitch here. And then for the 6th stitch, we are going to do another half double crochet increase. And there we go. And that's just to give us a little bit of an oval shape. We're not trying to go for a crazy oval shape, but just a little bit of an oval shape. All right, did I do? Yes, I just want to make sure I did my increase. Now we're going to do a single crochet into the first stitch and an increase into the second stitch. Just a regular single crochet increase. Then we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch and a single crochet increase into the 4th stitch. So what we're doing here is just alternating single crochet and increase. And you should have 18 stitches at the end of this round. You should have 12 stitches at the beginning of the round and 18 stitches at the end of the round. Let's just go ahead and do single crochet, increase, and single crochet, increase. And that is going to be round 3. We're going to have 18 stitches. It should be looking like that. Go ahead and pop out your stitch marker, and we are going to do a single crochet. Replace that stitch marker, and then we're going to do a second single crochet. And then a single crochet increase. So the repeat for this round is single crochet, increase. Single crochet 2, and then increase. So 1, 2, and increase. And the stitch count for this round will be 24. So when you get to the end of the round, you should have 24 stitches. All right, so for this round, we are going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase. So there's our 2 and 3 and then increase. We're going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase. So there's my 3 and there is my increase. 1, 2, 3, and increase. And when you get back to your stitch marker, you should be ending on an increase, and I believe we are at 24 stitches right now, so you should be ending on 30 stitches all the way around. All right, so that is what we are looking like right now. So a little bit oval shaped. Go ahead and work a single crochet and replace your stitch marker. And for this next round, we are going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. So this is basically just the trend that we're getting into, is you're adding a single crochet each time before your next increase. So like we did a round with 2 single crochets and then an increase, and then we did a round with 3 single crochets and then an increase, and now we're doing 4 single crochets and then an increase. And you're just going to do that all the way until you get to the size that you want to. This little face plate is really simple. So if you want to go ahead and just keep doing that, getting into this little trend of going up 1 every time, then you can go ahead and do that. And I will meet you back and let you know how many I did for mine, what repeat I ended up working up until. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. But remember, you can set this down on your plushie's face and just keep testing the size, because it really will depend on each person how many rounds they need to do for this part. All right, I worked around 5 times and now I have a total of 42 stitches around. So I'm going to do one more round for a little bit of face shaping, and I thought I would show you guys what I have in mind. So I'm going to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochets. Let me go ahead and pop my stitch marker into that first single crochet. All right, I'm going to do 6 single crochets, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet increase. So 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. Then I'm going to do a half double crochet. I'm going to do, let's see, 3, 4, 5 half double crochets. And then we're going to do a half double crochet increase. And then we're going to switch back to single crochets. We're going to do 6 single crochets. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to work a half double crochet increase. And whoops, we're going to do half double crochets across this side as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to work a half double crochet increase in this corner. And then we are going to go back to single crochet. We're working 4, 5, 6, 6 single crochet and then a single crochet increase. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 single crochets, and then we're going to end on an increase. And that should be looking like this. Gives you a little bit more of an oval shape. And then to end the round, or end this piece, I'm not going to be doing a full another round, but I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker. And I'm just going to work single crochets for, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. And then I'm just going to slip stitch to the next stitch, which is where you take your hook and go through, yarn over and pull through, and then just pull through the loop on your hook. And that's how I'm going to end my face. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 just to knot off nicely there. And then you're going to want to leave yourself a super long tail if you plan on sewing this onto the face. You can also hot glue it onto the face. That's totally up to you. If you plan on sewing it, leave yourself a nice long tail so that you can go around sewing it onto the face. But that is what your little face should be looking like. All right, guys, so the next step is going to be to put stuff on our face. So this can be done kind of however you want to do it. You can put the face on first if you'd like to. If you're going to be gluing your features on, you may want to put the face on first, give you a better idea of where to place everything. I'm going to be doing felt for the eyes and the teeth. I'm going to do a little embroidering for the mouth, and then I'm actually going to do a safety nose. So I'm doing kind of a combination of everything, so I'm actually not going to put this on just yet. There are a lot of expressions that the Labubus have, so really what you do with the face is super up to you. I'm going to show you like follow along type of situation with what I'm doing, but like there are literally so many different expressions. Like pretty much every Labubu has a different expression, so you could be doing something completely different, and that's totally fine. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I've got my Labubu standing up, and I just want to figure out like where I'm going to put the different features. So I think, looking at pictures of Labubus while I do this also, I think I want to put my eyes like right here, roughly. And I think I'll do my eyes first, actually. So I don't have the blacks attached yet either, just the whites. So I'm just kind of putting it on my Labubu and figuring out where I want my eyes, keeping in mind that I still need to do my mouth, I still need to do my nose, and everything kind of lines up on these. Like they put the nose between the eyes, and the mouth kind of goes up on either side of the eyes since it's a big smile. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing this. Oh, right, and then I have some backing on these that I need to take off. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. These are like pre-stickied eyes or pieces of felt that I'm working with for this particular piece. I have like all different kinds of felt. So they have like little plasticky backings that come off. So when you're doing your felt, you just want to put your glue on there, press it down nicely, let it dry, It'll kind of melt the fibers of the yarn a little bit, and that'll help it stick. And then, of course, obviously, the hot glue itself helps it stick too. And I am pretty generous with my glue. And once you put these on, they're not coming off, so try to do your best to figure out where you want them before you place them. Because once that glue dries, you are not getting those back off of there. So there's what my little felt is looking like so far. Now I'm going to do the white, or I'm going to do the black. I have black with these little whites already attached for catch lights. Basically the little spot where their eyes are sparkling. And I'm just going to kind of center it a little bit. Center it, but maybe slightly more down than up. But for the most part, just centered. Trying to decide on my placement. I kind of already cut these to the shape to go like that. So they're like a little wonky, but I really don't care. I think it adds character. Especially to these. Like, I feel like one of the whole points of these is that they've got their personality. They've got their character, you know? So just press that down nicely. There we go. And then I have my little, I'm going to do a pink safety nose, but these come in like a bunch of colors. I realized that these noses are like the perfect shape and size for the Labubu nose. So I was like, yeah, I'll just do a safety nose. So I'm just going to try to place it like roughly between the two eyes. Theirs are pretty centered up between the eyes. So I'm trying to place it like they have it like smack dab in the middle between the two eyes. So I think that'll be good. And then I'm just going to pop my little safety eye backing on here, or my safety nose backing on here. Try before I push it. Before I lock it in place, I want to make sure that my nose is in the spot I want it to be. Facing the way I want it to face and everything, because they're kind of hard to move after you lock them in. But once again, if it's sideways, it's sideways. I'm not going to be pressed about it, because it just adds a little personality. There we go. It's starting to look Labubu-ified. Alright, so now I'm just going to do a little embroidered smile, and then I'm going to cut out some teeth. So the Labubu smiles come up way up by their eyes, like somewhere between the top of the eye and the middle of the eye. I'm going to come up right here. So I'm going to come up from behind. And I'm going to leave myself a little bit of a tail. How do I want to do this? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go across to be about even right here. I'm thinking like right here. And I'm gonna go through, and then I'm gonna pop up at the bottom where I want my smile to go down to. Like the bottom of the height that I want it to go down to. So something like so. So I'm going to pop up right here, as much in the middle as I can. And I want to come up on the inside of the mouth so that I can catch the string of it. And I'm going to pull, get that kind of tight. leave myself a tiny bit of slack, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down on the other side of the yarn here so that I can lock it into place. And then I'm actually going to go up in intervals. Actually, I'm going to do this side first. I'm going to go up in intervals, and I'm going to grab the yarn along its path from the corners down to the middle, and I'm going to grab it and cinch it down. Doing the same thing, I'm going to come up on the inside, and then I'm going to go down back through the same spot, but on the outside of my yarn so that I can lock it down. And then I'm going to do this one. And the reason I'm doing this one second is actually because my starting yarn is over there, and it'll make it easier to tie everything together at the end. So there we go. I think that that's pretty good. All right, and then now I can just tie these two pieces together from the start and the finish to lock everything together. You give it a little tug, but don't tug it too much. Don't want to mess up your face that you just got all perfected. Or, you know, not perfected, because character, every imperfection or little quirk is just some character for our little character. All right, and then that is all secured. And you could stop here potentially, but since they have the little teeth, I want to try to cut little teeth out. So I have some felt here. It's glittery on one side and not glittery on the other, but I think why not have some sparkly teeth? So I'm going to try doing some little sparkly teeth. Shouldn't need a whole lot of this, so I'm just going to cut out like a little chunk. And I'm going to work with this. So I just need to cut out little diamonds. And it would be perfect if I could try to make them about the same size. I don't think they're all the exact same shape. No, they're not. So I'm not worried about them all being the exact same shape, but at least this way I'm cutting them all to be the same height, you know? Because I cut a little strip. And I'm not sure how many teeth I'm gonna need. But we'll try that many and see how that's looking. See if we're liking that. I've got all my little sparkles. So they're shaped like little diamonds, but like, oh, those might be a little too big. I think that that's the way to go. I cut it a little more narrow this time. And then I'm gonna cut my teeth into smaller points this time. My teeth are trying to run away. They're flying all over my desk. Get off of there. Oh my goodness. They're literally just shooting all over the place. This is probably plenty of teeth. All right, let's see what we're working with. Try to gather up my little teeth. That one's not gonna work. All right, all right, all right. Okay, I think I got them all. So actually, since I made these smaller, we may need more of them. They're kind of, the way that they shape the teeth, they're kind of done like widthwise, like they're wider at the, I mean, obviously they're wider at the bottom. I don't know. They're like wide and short instead of like long and pointy, I guess, if that makes sense. This one might be too small. Oh, maybe for like the side, actually. Oof. Okay, okay, I think this will work. Yeah, I'm digging it. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go around gluing these on, and then I will come back because I know this is probably taking way too long. Okay, guys, I have got my little teeths on here. So I was looking at him and I was thinking he needs some little eye flaps, because like most of the Labubus have basically eyebrows, but it's the skin, not like the hair, which I totally get as a person that doesn't have very much eyebrow. I have more like the skin for eyebrows than the hair itself, so I relate. But if you would like to also make some little skin flap eyebrow things, grab your yarn, your skin toned yarn, and go ahead and make a slip stitch. Not a slip stitch, a slip knot. Yes, make a slip knot, and we will just make a chain of however many you want to make your little eyebrow flap thing. Let's see. Let's see, how does 4 look? Let's see, how does 5 look? Yes, I like 5. So, because I like 5, yeah, I like 5. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to skip 1 chain and slip stitch into the 2nd chain from my hook. Then I'm going to single crochet in 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch again. And I think that that will make a nice eyelid. And then I will just chain 1, and where did I put my little scissors at? Oh, they're literally right there. And cut that. Leave yourself a nice long tail if you would like to sew it on. If you just want to glue it on like you've been gluing on your other stuff, if you have been gluing on your other stuff, then you can. Heck yeah. And then just rinse and repeat. So you can just do however many chains you want for like whatever eyes you're doing, but this will make you a nice little eyelid. Just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip a chain and slip stitch, and then single crochet, slip stitch. All right, so now you can go ahead and if you would like to sew these on or glue them on or whatever, go ahead and do that. And you can also go ahead and do the same with your face. So go ahead and attach your face onto your plushie however you want. If you're gonna glue it on, you know, you can just flip it over, put it all hot glued and press it on and hold it down. And then if you're going to sew it on, then you will just go all around the edges with your needle and your yarn and sew it on. All right, now that we have got our faces attached, we can move on to doing our fingers and toes and then our ears, and then you'll be done. So go ahead and grab your skin toned yarn again and your 3.5 millimeter hook or whatever hook you were using to do stuff with your skin toned yarn. And we are going to, I think the easiest way to do this will be actually to work it and then just put them on. So we're going to go ahead, leave yourself a little bit of a tail for sewing, and then make a slip knot. And then we will go ahead and chain, well here, let me, 3, all right, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and chain 7. And then you're going to be skipping that first stitch or that first chain that's closest to you. And we're going to work into the second chain. We're going to do a half double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2 and slip stitch back into the first chain that you made just now. Then you're going to go back down to the main chain that you're working in and slip stitch into the second chain. Then in the next chain, you're going to work a half double crochet and then chain 2, and then slip stitch into the first chain that you just made, and then slip stitch back down into the next chain on the main chain here. Okay, so that is 1 half double crochet with a chain 2, slip stitch to the first chain, then a slip stitch, then another half double crochet with a chain 2, slip stitch down to the first stitch, and then a slip stitch, which means you just did 4 stitches. Now we're going to do for our 5th stitch a half double crochet, and I'll go through this one a little slower just in case you need a little extra help. You're going to chain 2. Then, now that you've got 2 chains right there, you're going to skip this chain and go to this one, and you're just going to slip stitch like so. Then you're going to go down to the last chain here, and you're going to slip stitch into that last chain. And these are going to be what your little fingers and toes look like. So you're actually going to do this 4 times. You're going to go ahead and be done with this one. So chain 1, and cut your yarn, leave yourself a little bit of a tail. And this is going to be your little fingers and toes, okay? They look like this. And you're going to want to make 4 of these in total because they're going to go on to your little Labubu. And you're just going to attach them like this. So you're just going to sew them on to the ends of the hands and feet. So I'll go ahead and show you. You've got 2 different sets of tails here to work with. I'm going to work with the longer one. It's barely longer, but I'm going to work with the longer one first. Put that on my little crochet hook, or not crochet hook, my little needle. And then I'm going to line it up on the hand where I want it. Like that. And then I'm just going to try to keep this facing a good way for you guys so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to try to sew it as close to the middle of the hand as I can. So I'm going through the stitches on the top of my hand and then through the bottom of this chain here, like so. I'm almost just kind of sandwiching them together while I sew it. I just want to make sure it's attached really well as I work my way across. And you can literally sew into it any way you want to. You don't got to grab a certain part of the stitches or anything like that. You just want to make sure you're getting some of the yarn from the hand and then some of the yarn from the fingers that you're attaching. And then once you get all the way to the end and you do your last bit of attaching, you've worked your whole little piece over. What you can do is with your remaining tail, you can just go through and come back out over at the beginning and pull this through. And then you can knot your beginning and ending tails together. Do a nice tight knot. And then that can get tucked inside of the arm, and you can hide your little tails, you can hide your little knot, and it'll be nice and secure. So that is the way I would recommend attaching those. I'm gonna cut that a little bit. You can hide your tails however you want. If you want to weave them in with your needle, you can definitely do that. if you want to poke them in like I am. I just think it's easier to hide the tails into the plushie by using the point of my scissors to push them inside. Then you can do it this way. And everything is already secured, so I don't need to like weave these around or anything like that. They are sewn on and then knotted. They are very secure. And then you've got your little fingies. So do that on your hands and your feet. That'll give you your little fingers and your toes. For the feet, you can have them kind of splay forwards a little bit if you want. Like instead of attaching them in the middle, maybe attach them like a little bit more to the front so they kind of face forwards a little bit or something. But that's totally up to you. Go ahead and make 4 of them and attach them. And then all we've got left to do is the ears. All right, guys. So for our final piece, we are going to be making our ears, and you're going to want both of the yarns that you used, the yarns for the body and the yarn for the skin tone. So go ahead and grab that. We're going to be using the hook that you used for your body. So mine was a 5.5 because I was double stranding these 2 worsted weight yarns. Grab whatever it is that you were using. Whoops. And we are going to start out by making a chain. So we're gonna make a slip stitch, not a slip stitch, slip knot. I don't know why I always want to say slip stitch. So start out by making a slip knot, and then we are going to chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we are going to single crochet into the second chain from our hook. So you're going to skip a chain, single crochet into that second chain from your hook, and put your stitch marker into the stitch that you just made. And then you're going to place a second single crochet into that same stitch. And then you're going to single crochet 2, 3, you're going to single crochet across the next 3 stitches, and then you're going to increase here in the corner. So single crochet and a single crochet, and then you're going to go to the other side and you're going to single crochet into the first chain as well. And you can work over your tail if you would like to. It doesn't really matter if you do, because we're going to end up sandwiching the front and back layer of the ear together, and so any of your tails can just go in there in between the layers. After you work your single crochet into that, you are going to single crochet, I believe 3 more. Let me see, 2, 3, yes. All right, so you have your increase down here on the bottom corner. Then you're going to go to the other side and single crochet. Then you're going to single crochet across the next 3 stitches. And then you are going to increase in the last chain. Grab your skin tone. And you're going to change colors. On this last stitch, you can actually just pull 1 loop out so that you're only having half of the single crochet done. And you'll change colors with your pull through. So let me show you. If you want, you can remove the whole stitch. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so we're on the last stitch here, and we're going to work an increase. So we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to work a single crochet, but instead of doing the whole single crochet, before that last time where we would yarn over and pull through, we're actually going to yarn over in the new color, which is our skin tone. And you're going to pull that through. And then that'll give you a nice seamless color change. And then I'm going to tie together the yarn that I was working with and my new tail, my new color's tail. And you can also go ahead and cut this yarn that's from your fur color or your body color, because you won't be needing it for the rest of this part. You'll need it again here in a minute though. Okay, and now that you've got your skin tone, we are going to increase in the next stitch. And you don't have to place your stitch marker if you don't want to, because you'll easily be able to see where your stitches are since they're in the different yarn. Increase in the next stitch, so 2 increases. Then you're going to single crochet, and single crochet. So 2 increases and then 3 single crochets, then an increase, and another increase, and then 1 more increase. So that's 3 increases. Sorry, I had to put my cat was trying to get up here. And then you're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and single crochet one more time. So 4 single crochets, and then you'll increase into this last stitch. And then that is it for this part. So go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch, and then you can chain 1 just to create a little knot, and go ahead and cut off. So this is what your first piece looks like. There's a ton of tails. Don't worry about them. You'll be able to sandwich them in between the layers, so you don't even have to sew them in. Go ahead and grab this yarn, and we're essentially going to do the same thing again, but we're not going to be switching colors. So go ahead and repeat that same thing. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just literally doing the same thing that we did for the other piece, but not switching colors. All right, and once you have your second piece done, go ahead and pop out your stitch marker, and then you're just going to sandwich these 2 layers together and slip stitch all the way around. And if you need to, you can trim some of these tails a little bit shorter, but you're literally going to hide them right in between these 2 layers, so there's no reason to sew them in unless you really want to for some reason, but definitely not necessary. They just act as like a little bit of stuffing. But you're literally just going to go around all of your edges and slip stitch these 2 layers together. Just slip stitching in the layer that is just the fur color, and then slip stitching right through the layer that has the skin tone, just sandwiching them together. Go through that layer, go through that layer, and then slip stitch. So don't gotta sew them together or anything. And then you can just sew these onto the body wherever you, whatever placement you think looks the most natural. Oops, dropped a loop there. But however you want them to look on your Labubu is how you can attach them. But right on top of the head. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully you found it to be helpful, at least a little bit. And I would love to see your Labubus if you guys end up making any. Feel free to tag me on Instagram. I am Nova Gnome Creations over there as well. I have a Facebook business page that's Nova Gnome Creations. You could tag me over there too if you want, wherever you're at. If you decide to make it and post it, feel free to tag me. I would love to see it. I really, really hope that this is helpful. Hopefully you guys get to make lots of cute little guys. Lots of cute little creations. And coming around to the end here, where I just slip stitch the last layer together, and then I'm going to make a little chain just to knot my end there. But that is what it looks like, and you can cut off, leave yourself however long of a tail that you think you're going to want for sewing. And keep in mind you do have 2 different threads here that you can use for sewing as well. And then something that I wanted to show you guys really quickly that I forgot to mention, if you would like this to be more fuzzy and if you would like your Labubu body to be more fuzzy, you can use a pet brush on it. Don't mind it. This is yarn in here. I use this only for yarn. But if you would like it to be more fuzzy, all you got to do is brush your crochet with a pet brush, and then it will instantly become more fuzzy. So you can get that more of a fur fuzzy kind of look just by combing over it all with a pet brush. And the more you brush it, the more fuzzy it'll get. So go ahead and attach your ears, and if you'd like to fuzzy it up, go ahead and fuzzy it up. Alright, and this is what my little dude came out looking like. I went ahead and brushed him and attached his ears. I attached them further back because that's how they are on like the Labubu plushies. So that was kind of the way that I decided to attach mine. But this is what he came out looking like. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and like I said, if you want to tag me in your makes, I would absolutely love to see them. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this tutorial and if you like Labubus. And I hope that if this is your first time here, you'll consider subscribing. I would absolutely love to see you around. I make a lot of crochet vlog content and sprinkle in tutorials and things like that. But we have a ton of fun here. So I hope to see you on the next video, and until then, I hope you stay safe. Bye guys!